Hey, how's everybody doing? Oh, there's a key. We're gonna go do that key. Yeah, I'm a little distracted more than normal, but um, I'm working on cooking lunch. I gotta run up some hamburgers, so I got that in the oven, and then when the timer goes off, I gotta go stir it up, and then I don't know exactly how long. It depends if I'm feeling good, but moving around to the cooking might make me lightheaded. It doesn't always, but sometimes. And and this is like the worst one to have with my monk, because he doesn't like to go toe to toe, so I gotta keep chasing his little chicken ass.
I'm returning to town.
I've dug up some new things for you to take a look at.
2 keystones available. That's what we like to see. Yeah, Daddy likes that. Oh, I might have to go back down.
Your flaws are revealed.
I've never had the guy over here in the corner. I thought I had to go back downstairs. Uh, yeah, I don't. It's kind of rambling. Maybe it's not all that important, but I did. It'll be up on YouTube as quick as I can get it. I haven't been putting the videos up like I normally do during the days of the week. If I think about, I was going to do it last, like in the evening last night, and then by the time I got into bed, I forgot all about it. But I did a podcast yesterday on my stream where I was talking about the Knights Templar, and I was kind of exploring, like their possible connection to non-human, and I should have worded it this way, non-human intelligence. And like I'm watching something now. It's from the Travel Channel. I don't know how new it is, but it's on where I can watch it without having to pay anything. And UFOs uncovering the truth. And they were talking about, it looks old, but I don't know. It really looks old. And they're talking about playing the first ever sound of a glowing orb. And this is something now again, because the Templars come and put me onto it yesterday, because they were talking about all these things that they allegedly found, like in the old King Solomon's temple. They were digging to excavate it, and the cool thing about it is they were showing all these tunnels, and the tunnels were kind of cool, and they had all these hidden things under their city or under their base, and somebody said that there's only a fraction of them that have been explored. Well, what the fuck are they waiting for? Unless it's not safe, you might find, because they're saying that the Templar treasure's never been found. And, like, why the fuck are you not down there with like an army of fucking, goobers fucking looking for that shit? You might find a shitload of stuff down there. And but when they were talking about that sound coming out of these orbs or whatever, when you read in the Bible them talking about the burning bush, maybe it was one of them orbs. And maybe there were certain chosen people that when those sounds came out, they understood it, Like, you look at the Harry Potter movies, certain rare people can understand parcel tongue. Well, maybe there's a fucking gene or something, which basically gives you the mental capacity to actually understand what that is. Like, maybe it's not auditory, maybe it's mental or something. I don't know. But,
To me, you beasts! Let none...
I was kind of glad to hear yesterday that it sounds like they are going to get that amendment passed. Now it's just a matter of whether they put good people on that board. I still want to see Christian Gillibrand's, Senator Gillibrand's get passed. But the one Schumer put out, as long as if they put fucking idiots on it, then it's going to be useless because it basically empowers a panel to investigate this with people on it picked by the president. If they put good people on it, then it might be good. But if they put a bunch of fucking idiots on it, you know, if it turns out to be like the Warren Commission or the 9/11 Commission, I don't have a lot of faith in it. But
Whatever.
because it sounds like it's going to have some teeth. All this shit that was given, and this is the thing somebody said, they go, you know, this stuff might have been given to these companies, and there's nobody alive left who was there when it happened, but the way they were talking, it would allow them to go in and seize that shit back. Because the thing that gets me, and again, it's up to you, but I firmly believe the Wilson memo, and I firmly believe that Wilson memo, and because there's been enough people, and I honestly think there's a good chance, I don't know for sure, but I think there's a good chance that the magic document is real too. This is the thing a lot of people don't realize. I don't know if there's any way you could prove it unless they find official documents squirreled away under national security protection that they can declassify, where you've got President Truman admitting it or something like, or Eisenhower. And maybe that stuff's out there, I don't know. But when George W. Bush was running for president, there was some shit that came out about his days in what some referred to as the Champagne Wing of the Texas National Air Guard. And pretty sure what I'm telling you here is fact. He was basically put in there. They trained him to be a pilot. And what happened was, oh God. What happened was they I might pass out. Bear with me. I might just get up and go lay down. Hang on, I think let's see if it goes away. But what happened was he got up to a certain point where he had enough hours of training that he could be sent over to Vietnam. And like the unit that he was in, the division he was in, whatever the title of it was that he was in, it was made up of all these family members of politicians and influential people in Texas. That's why it was sometimes referred to as the Champagne Wing of the Texas National Air Guard. And it appears that it might have been a way for rich people and connected people's kids to get out of serving the military like, you know, poor people did, you know, because it was a draft. We still had the draft back then. And What happened was when he got near that number, where if he went over it, he was eligible to be drafted. Well, he quit flying. He quit showing up for duty. And, you know, there's a book I read. It's called Last True Story I'll Ever Tell, I think was the name of it. And it was a guy who signed up for the National Guard, I believe it was. And he was using it to help him pay for college. And he had just graduated. He had just gotten married. And he was on his honeymoon. And he, I don't know if he checked his email or something else, but while he was on his honeymoon and he was on the ship, he got something from back home. I don't know if it's from his parents or what, but I think it might have been his parents, but I'm not 100%. It's been a while since I read this. And what happened was he found out that somebody from the government was looking for him. So, you know, because I think he got online to check his grades or something like that, and that's when he found this out. And what he found out was that they had activated his guard unit and were sending him to Iraq. This was under George W. Bush. This was that operation, you know, it was basically whatever the operation, I don't know if it was Enduring Freedom or whatever, but it was the one that they did after 9/11.
Not enough spirit.
And he was being sent. I think he went to Iraq. I don't think he went to Afghanistan. And the main reason I wanted to read it, I think I saw him on The Daily Show. And the thing I liked about it was, you know, because I think Jon Stewart asked about the legitimacy of sending the guard units over to fight in a regular war. And he goes, look, he goes, when I signed up, did I think I would be going to a hot war zone overseas? He goes, no. He goes, I absolutely did. And he goes, I never thought it would happen. And he goes, but I'm not going to complain about it. He goes, my understanding is what they did was legal. Maybe it wasn't right, but he goes, it was legal. And he goes, I signed a piece of paper. I got so much money a month, which helped me get through college. And he goes, I'm not going to complain about it. He goes, you know, did I want to go over? No. He goes, but am I bitter about it? He goes, no. And, you know, and this is a guy, you know, Dick Cheney, I think, had 5 deferments. George Bush, when you looked at it, he, I promise this will, just bear with me, this will make sense. But George Bush, like, served, but as soon as he got near the eligibility of being sent over to fight in Vietnam, he just quit showing up. He refused to refused the drug test because pilots had to go. So pilots still do that to this day. He refused a drug test. He refused to show up for duty. I believe there was still a review that was written by his commanding officer who said this is the time for me to give him his yearly review, and if I had seen him this last year, I would actually be happy to write one, but he did not show up. I will be right back. Okay, back. I thought I was gonna pass out. I really did. It was a momentary thing. I might not do the Minecraft stream today. I'll see. Got it. If I wasn't cooking, I'd probably just go late. But no, but what happened was, he refused to take a drug test. He didn't report for a drug test. He didn't show up on the base for, like, according to the one document they saw, he didn't show up for like a whole fucking year. He was supposedly working on somebody's election campaign in another state, I think. And my understanding, that right there, which we know, you know, that thing where he didn't show up for a year, that should have been enough to strip him of his officer rank. That should have been enough to strip him of his flight status. And that should have been enough to send him to active duty in Vietnam as a fucking private. None of this happened. Now, I want to give you a perspective, okay? I know someone who was a full duty service person, and they were attached to a reserve unit. So they were like a full service person for that branch, and they were attached to a reserve unit. And this is the story, and this is what gets me, because it's this total, it's like pre-MAGA shit. It's just total, you know, one side for them, the other side for us, and he ended up getting on the wrong side of it later. But he was there, and I guess somebody called in. They were supposed to have their reserve duty, and now, granted, some of this was his fault, but they were still fucking douchebags about it. Because the guy called in and he said, yeah, I can't come in this week. And usually it was no big deal. That occasionally happened because you were only showing up one weekend a month. And you would just make it up on another weekend that month, or like maybe the first weekend the next month. It was like you could do makeup dates. You know, you just had to get in there, you know. And he said, yeah, I can't come in this weekend for my active duty. And they go, well, why? And he goes, well, I work construction. And he goes, we're working overtime. He goes, we don't work a lot of overtime. He goes, we're working overtime, and you guys don't pay me enough to give that up. And I think they did do a little bit. I think they tried to tell him, like, well, look, we can't put that down. And, you know, and again, maybe I'm wrong, because I wasn't in there. I didn't, you know, but it just seems to me that, you know, in light of what happened with, you know, future Governor and President Bush, it just seems like they could have, you know, wrote that up. Well, he was supposed to be here and he didn't show up. I guess that's just the way it is, because that's basically what happened when you're rich and connected. You get away with breaking the rules. So then that should be the way it is for everybody, you know. And but what they did was they activated him. They activated him. He probably lost. I'm guessing he probably lost his rank, and he got sent to active duty for 4 years, or maybe 2, but I think it was 4 years. And that did not happen to the politically rich and connected in Texas back then. And the other thing that came out is there was a guy, he brought these documents forward, and they showed some pretty unflattering stuff about presidential candidate George W. Bush. And there's another thing, you know, that somebody dug up that he had a I don't know if it was a Secret Service or a Social Security number or if it was a driver's license, but Texas had given him, he had gotten a new one through Texas so that all his old records, it was either him or his wife, maybe both, but all their old records would be hidden because you couldn't get into their original account. All you could do is get into the new number, and there's nothing on it. And so there, you got to wonder what were they hiding. But again, that's something you or I would. I had a drunk driving ticket, you know, probably 13, 14 years ago. There's no way for me to do that. I can't go get a new number, so all that's hidden. You know, anybody that, you know, any job I do, anything like that, it's there for them to see. You know, it's just a double standard that we have in this society, and but this guy came forward and he had all these documents that basically supposedly told the real story about what was going on with this connected little shit, and you know, it sounded like he didn't take the physical because of his drug use. It sounded like if they found out he had coke in his system because he was snorting it off. I'm making this up, but they do speculate that it was drug use is the reason why he didn't want to take the drug test. But you know, it sounds like even being, you know, connected like he was, if he was snorting coke off a hooker's ass, you know, that wasn't gonna fly once it showed up on a drug test. So he just didn't show up. Well, again, there should have been consequences for that criminal action, and there wasn't. I wonder how many people did get punished for like a weekend. You know, I mean, that's the thing that gets me is for this Republican piece of shit, it's okay, but some guy that just couldn't make 1 week, couldn't make one weekend because he had a chance to work overtime at a good job, he gets the full weight of the government thrown on him. But somebody who took a whole fucking year to party and fucking skip out so he could avoid being, you know, maybe sent over to Vietnam, oh, that was something we just couldn't have. You know, we couldn't do that. And you know, and it's part of I think that's part of why we have the modern day Republican Party, because they got used to it. They got used to breaking the law and covering it up, and they just got bigger and bolder as life went on. One of the cats was, I put the one cat out on the porch because she'd been bugging me since like 9 o'clock, and I've already given her treats once. She completely ate. And there's dry food. I emptied out her dry food and put all fresh dry food on there. So if she's really hungry, she can, you know, she's got food available, but she thinks if she nags me every couple minutes, she's going to get something special. And she's back again. I'm talking about her, so she's scratching. But I ever since I broke my leg, I haven't been able to do it. Well, it's getting a little better now, so I risked it. If I fell, I fell. But I risked it because I was having issues. And I don't want to be mean to her. Be stern with her, but I don't want to be mean to her. And he came forward with these documents. Well, all of a sudden, everybody was up in arms at these documents, and the Republicans mounted a full service attack on these documents. And the people that ran them, and this is where it kind of links up, the people that ran them, what they did was they checked everything they could. And the things they found. Jesus.
I need spirit.
But they checked everything they could with all due diligence. And what they found was that the typewriter that had been used was the one that was used by some of the, you know, and I think they found that they actually had one of those. So it was something from the base commander, and
I must wait to use that ability. My injuries are too severe.
okay, I'm getting out of here.
I am returning to town.
I do not want to lose this character. This should not be that hard, but it's the combination of all the bullshit that they're throwing you. It probably should be. That's probably something you should be facing in a higher torrent level. Yeah, because I've done 4 of these. Actually, oh, this might help too.
That is too expensive.
Back at the door again. I didn't even think of that.
Not enough spirit. Your flaws are revealed.
And but they did. They looked into the typewriter that was used. Yeah, that one fit. The guy who allegedly wrote it, he was dead. And they also looked to find out, like, because his secretary at that time was still alive. And they talked to her, and this is what they got from her, if I remember it correctly. She did not remember typing that. And she, you know, and they asked her, they go, oh, and you did all his typing? She goes, no, I did not do all his typing. She goes, if it was something sensitive, he typed it himself. And she said if it was something that was critical, like if she'd gone home or was out on lunch and he needed it like right away, he would type it. So she goes, he very well could have typed that. Because when she read it, she said, this here is borderline. He might have had me type this. If there was a lot of pressure on it, maybe he would have felt it was sensitive and he wouldn't have had me type it. And she said maybe it was something that happened when I was sick or out of the office or gone home for the night, and maybe he did it then. She goes, it could have been one of those two. And the other thing she added to it was, she doesn't know if he typed it, but she said everything that was in it was matched by the water cooler talk at the time. So there was definitely talk about the stuff that was in it. going around. So she said it could have been, she goes, I don't know for sure, but she goes, he very well could have done that just to put a cover your ass moment, so it was in there, so if something happened, he could show that he was aware of it. He had made it known to those above him, and everybody kind of wanted it just covered up.
I cannot do that.
And but they did all this. It's any journalist that was worth a shit would have done the same thing and found this story to be credible. And I think there is at least a possibility that that document was real. But there's something that came out, and I don't know if he finally admitted it or if they speculated that this might have been, because everything matched up. Everything they could verify matched up with eyewitnesses, people in the area, that secretary that worked for the general, you know, the other documents that were not destroyed. And the speculation was that when Bush got in as governor, he may have misused his office to get that destroyed. And this guy had seen it, and the speculation was that it was possible that he recreated it from memory. And so it got pretty much wrote off. Well, they did the same thing with they did the exact same thing with the magic documents. They went through and they documented and checked as much as they could. Couldn't check everything. But, you know, like some of the claims on that, it was basically a document, and it was supposedly a briefing, the first of many, for President-elect Eisenhower to inform him what was going on. And they're like, because it still used the War Department stamp, and they're like, oh well, this was after World War II, it would have had the Department of Defense stamp. Well, what they found was that there were still documents being used with the War Department stamp going on to, I think, 1960. So this one here at the end of the Truman presidency was well within that time period. You know, they were still using it. And because it went, like after World War II, it went from the War Department to the Defense Department. And the names that were listed who were part of this Majestic 12, the magic documents, it was the first 12 directors of the CIA. And so on and so forth. They did all the due diligence. So for any other story, it was just like what they did with George W. Bush. For any other story, this would be considered a valid document. Because they found all this corroborating stuff, they found no detractable stuff.
I need spirit.
And then that Wilson memo, that's one where, and again, I've seen enough to think that's real. And the thing on the Wilson memo is it was supposedly written by somebody at the Pentagon who basically he had the job that was responsible for all the SAPs and special access programs. All of them, by law, had to report to him. And what he did is, after he got the job, he found out there were all these special access programs that were not reporting to him, or as far as he could tell, anybody else. And he got a hold of one of them, and apparently he was talking to, the whole thing was being documented as he was telling a subordinate. He was in a parking lot at some facility or whatever. And he let him know that legally these people were breaking the law. It was a special access program. It was funded by the government. It had to report to him by law. I believe that is criminal charges. I don't think it's a fine. I think you go to jail for that. And he said these people were mad that I even found out how to contact them. He goes, they seemed to be in no fear that they were breaking the law. I'm paraphrasing here. And he goes, they seemed to be fucking mad that I had fucking wasted their time and contacted them. And
not enough spirit. It is not ready yet. I must heal.
I'm gonna end the stream if I survive. Well, one way or another, it's gonna end. I'm either gonna, cause I'm just having too many close calls, and I'm not entirely sure it ain't me not feeling good. I will do the Minecraft one if I can. No promises.
I need to go back.
Okay, I gotta pee anyways, so. I gotta go anyways. Okay.